Were there farriers in World War I from Australia, or were they just the light horse guys took care of their own horses over there?
No. Every troop, every squadron had a light horse. There was a light horse sergeant, light horse corporals, and if you basically the ranking started off as a shoeing smith, and you had shoeing smith, lance corporal, shoeing smith, corporal, farrier sergeant when you were qualified, and they were trained. Like I've even got papers that show that the farriers were trained in all the anatomy of the horse. They had to know everything, like the full anatomy of the horse. You know, everything from the bones, the whole thing. You know, so we think of training today as something new, but those guys knew more about it than we'll ever know. Basically, these are mannequins I've made up, and most of the stuff has been accumulated over many years of collecting, and a fair bit of it's original. All of the gear on the wall, it's all original, but what you find interesting from a farrier point of view is that this mannequin here I've made up as a farrier sergeant from the 4th Light Horse. As you notice, the farrier emblem on his shoulder there.
Wow.
And all farriers in the army, basically they had their, it comes from the British Army, but the horseshoe always points downwards. So the luck runs into the shoe as you make it. So contrary to popular belief, everybody tells the shoe goes up the other way, it doesn't, mate. So there's some original hoof knives from 1916. That's how I used to make them days. Funnily enough, I started using one of them when I started shoeing horses. A bit of a shame to admit it, my grandfather never threw anything out.
So the tool there on the far right, what's that one, Dean?
That's a searing iron from the Australian Light Horse. Based for searing shut wounds and cracks in feet and all that sort of thing. I've never seen one before. I picked that up at an auction one day.
Would the farrier or the vet in World War I use that, or both?
Most times the farrier was part of the veterinary department, especially in France. The Australians, if you look there, that box down there on the ground was made up from as a pannier for the 4th Mobile Veterinary Corps, and there was a number of them in France. Just a pretty special one. I can't remember where I picked it up, but it was a handmade farrier trade badge made for a light horseman after he got his qualification. It was made in Egypt before they went to Gallipoli.
That's very cool.
Even complete with a little toe clip on it.